Attorney
Found
Sullivan.
that in the journal.
Okay. That's the word. Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight is the, reconvene the 2017-2018 Board of Finance budget hearing. And before we get started, I would just like to, we did receive several letters from members of the community in support. I think it's fair to say in support of the Board of Ed budget. I'm not going to read them into the record, but I will submit them to the file. Okay, I think there are a number of people here tonight for the Board of Ed budget, so as courtesy, I think we will start with education operations on page 94, Department 4996, education operations.
And Mr. Chair, just to set the table before we begin with either the Board of Ed or the city budget.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
As you know, there's a big elephant in the room. The state has proposed a pretty significant reduction for the city of Milford, the biggest one I think that we've ever had. And there's a lot of uncertainty floating about Connecticut right now. The state is trying to make up for a $1.5 billion deficit, and Milford is taking a lot of the brunt of that. Those towns that have been successful and done the right thing seem to have been targeted, at least in the initial state budget proposal, Milford being one of them. I do have a breakdown of the different grants that we're going to be losing, the different additional monies that they're asking us at this point, or at least proposing that towns and cities contribute towards, that we never had to contribute towards before, like the teacher retirement pension, which had been a wholly funded state liability, and now at least a portion of that is being asked to be funded through local municipalities. Obviously, it's something that's affecting what we're doing here at a local level. I've met with Jim Riccitelli and Elizabeth Beezer, our superintendents, about how we're gonna handle that on the Board of Ed side. I've met with our department heads. We had another department head meeting this morning, which Peter was at, and the rest of our city folk, about how we're going to absorb this huge impact. And again, the hope is that the state comes to its senses, and at the end of the day, it's a budget that is more reasonable, moves the whole state forward, does not pick out winners and losers and punish those municipalities that have done the right thing. But like we do with emergency management, is we prepare for the worst and we hope for the best. This really is like the Storm Sandy of financial implications. This is one of those storms that's swirling above us that we do have to take heed of. My recommendation to you, and again, you make the ultimate decision on the Board of Finance, but my recommendation is that we pass the formal budget with those adjustments, those technical changes that we went through last week. When I went up to Hartford, I met with the Chief of Staff and OPM, and they knew every single dollar that Milford had budgeted for up until that point. They knew the fund balance that we had up at that point. They knew all of our numbers. They're looking at all of the figures, all of the facts that Milford has, and I don't want those numbers to be used against us to any big degree over the course of the next couple months, while the legislature, while the appropriations committee, while the governor and the rest of the state are figuring out their mess. What I would suggest is that we propose a budget to the Board of Aldermen. It's gonna be affected, or at least we have to do the due diligence and plan for different alternatives. Our department heads are digging down into the weeds, looking at alternative strategies, looking at alternative budgets that we're gonna have in place, ready to go. If God forbid we do get cut to the degree or even half of the amount that is being proposed right now. But I don't want to give any more fodder to the state at this point. My recommendation would be to obviously make those adjustments and those corrections that we discussed at the technical session last week, but that's my advice, those are my suggestions, and if you have questions as you continue to discuss this, please feel free to bounce ideas up with me. City Attorney Burcham is here in case you have any legal questions about timing of the budget. I think he has to run to another meeting, but if you do have any questions before he leaves about state implications or state finances and the authority of the sovereign, he's here to answer those questions.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, that's very helpful. If any members of the board have a question for the mayor or the city attorney?
Before the city attorney leaves, if prior to the finalizing of the budget, the state comes down through their cuts, we know what we won't know the exact final cut of what it's gonna be. But will we have a second round on our budget? I don't think so. From the Board of Finance point of view, we won't, right?
Well, there is the ability for a town or municipality to issue a second installment of taxes. That's not something that I would recommend, suggest, or in any way support. There is a supplementary tax that municipalities are allowed to do under state statute. I would suggest that we try to get it as close as possible, given the best figures that the state is releasing at the time that the aldermen have to adopt their budget before the taxes are due, and then we have to send out those bills. And, Milford does have a little bit of a cushion because we do have a healthy fund balance to absorb at least some of the impact. I'm hopeful that we don't have to put our bond rating on our good financial stability at risk, but, we do have a fallback. I don't know if all 169 towns and cities in the state have that same ability to fall back, but those are some of the contingency plans.
So from our point of view, I think all we can say to the public before we finalize our budget is to recommend that the people of Milford start sending out letters to the legislators and indicating to them, just because of our good work, we should not be penalized. And it shouldn't just go to the legislators of Milford and Stratford and West Haven or whatever. It should be the general 120 or probably 130 towns that are getting penalized on good management. And having the major cities, the 20 cities or so, they're gonna get bailed out. That is not a good management of the state budget. So my recommendation is for us to let the people know that the damage that's been done for the last 4 or 6 years should not be recouped in 1 year. And pass that message on to their legislators that this is a totally unfair situation. I made the analogy earlier that, the kid that's got the A+ grade in the classroom, the teacher goes up and says to that kid, Johnny here has only got a C+. I think we're gonna take part of your grade and give it to Johnny so he can get into college too. It's an asinine system that's working right now, and I'm very irritated that we have to be at the front of this whole situation. And you've done fantastic work of going back and forth to Hartford to get our legislators aware of where we stand on this whole thing. But I think the people should be more up in arms than ever about this financial situation in the state. It's not just Milford, it's the whole state that is totally mismanaged, and hopefully we can get through this. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
I just want to ask the mayor, are they changing any legislation at the state?
Today, there was a bill that was being discussed. It was a permissive bill. It was going to, and I don't know the status as of right now, it was supposed to be taken up today by the Senate and then the House. It was a bill that would allow municipalities to delay their budget vote above and beyond what their local charter said and what local statutory law required, not local, state statutory law required. But obviously that there's a big issue that we run into, the fact that, we need to start funding city operations July 1st, which means tax bills need to be in the mailboxes by June 1st to give residents and taxpayers a month to pay. And that's always been our deadline. And if we have to delay taxes till August 1st, that means that the city of Milford is gonna have to fund out of our general fund, and it's a huge, you know,
Mhm.
a huge amount for that first month, and that's also something that I can't recommend or support either. And I don't know if Peter would say the same thing, but it's not, you know, if we have a $210 million budget, it's not just 1/12 of, that's what the July payment is. There's, you know, bills that come due for the whole year that come due on July 1st that we have to pay, you know, that first month. So, you know, it could possibly be a $40 million month that we would have to absorb, and, you know, there's not a city or town in the state of Connecticut that has a fund balance that could offset a $40 million hit.
So it's not something that we'd be able to do.
We're still looking into it, but
Okay.
I don't think that, you know, pushing it out a month is something that we want to do.
I'll move to approve $92,296,582 for Department 4996.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
A second.
Motion made and seconded, any discussion on the motion?
Basically, that's the proposed budget less the SRO, which obviously the police department didn't fund their half, so we are, you know, I'm not gonna give it to them at this time.
I would agree with that sentiment. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Okay, there's a motion on the floor and seconded to approve education operations in the lump sum appropriation amount of $92,296,582. Is that the motion?
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Keep up the good work.
Good luck.
Page,
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
You and Mr. Castellano, could you repeat the net the total reduction to the Board of Ed budget?
It was $40,000, Peter, even.
Even?
It was basically, yeah, just the SRO, 40,000 even. Sure.
anything further on education before we move on? Okay. Page 14, Mr. Fitzpatrick, would you like the honors of making the motions going forward? I think if we just make a motion to approve as presented,
Yeah,
and
right.
then move
With the
through, and
following changes, I think we actually have to read in the.
when we get to, yeah, we'll go through each department, and then if we get to a change or a spot where we need to do something else, I'll cut you off.
You got it.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend that we approve the account 4111 as presented. Account 4112 as presented. Account 4115 as presented. Account 4116 as presented. Account 4121 as presented. Account 4122 as presented. 4123 as presented. 4129 as presented.
You just, no.
So,
Yep. So there's a motion to approve those accounts. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Lauren Secondi. Any discussion on the motion?
no.
Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. I'm going to recuse myself from the law department.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend that we approve account number 4131 as presented, 4132 as presented.
Just stop with law,
Okay,
and I'll go on.
I'm sorry,
I'm going to recuse myself
Oh,
from
recuse,
law, so
okay.
just do that one singular.
you go forward on, okay,
I'll move to approve the law department 4131 as presented.
for the next one too. What? No, 4132? Yeah,
And 4132.
So second, any second on that?
Second. A second.
Any discussion? All approve?
Aye.
Abstain.
And abstain?
Thank you, Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Okay, account 4133 as presented. 4141 as presented. 4142 as presented. 4143 as presented. 4144 as presented. 4145 as presented, 4146 as presented, 4147 as presented, 4151 as presented, 4153 as presented, 4155 as presented, 4156 as presented, 4159 as presented, 4160 as presented, 4161 as presented, 4162 as presented. 4163 as presented.
4193?
Oh, 93, I'm sorry. Boy, that jumps, okay. 4210 as presented. 4215 as presented. 4219 as presented. 4310 as presented.
Why don't we stop there?
Oh, yeah, that'd be good.
There's a motion on the floor to approve those departments as presented. Is there a
Second.
second? Second by Mr. Castagnoli. Any discussion on the motion?
None.
Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Chairman, we have adjustments on account 4320. The new, you want to just take the, let's see,
You get to read each item down in front of
yeah, I think we'll have to go by the account areas.
you? Yeah, and then the subtotal and then the total.
Right. Under personnel services, we have a change going from 10,117,752.
We gotta start.
Oh, just the two?
Why don't
Okay.
you do all three?
Huh.
So the motion to change 4111
Oh, yeah.
with the new figure?
Is 8,155,675. Account number 41119942 is now 40,779.
Subtotal?
Changing the subtotal to 10,131,654.
And
Let's
the
see,
department total?
yeah. Total, department total goes to 11,372,550. Then we have a change under the personnel, senior fire inspector. We have two changes in the budgeted positions. Under the battalion chief, the senior fire inspector is now called a deputy fire marshal at the pay grade of 87,908. And we have a firefighter designated as a fire inspector to a payroll of 72,394. And that will change the position totals to 8,155,675.
That's a motion, did we cover that, Peter?
Yes.
That's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Condi. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? carries unanimously.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend that we accept account number 4331 as presented, 4340 as presented, 4360 as presented, 4420 as presented, 4421 as presented, 4423 as presented, 4424 as presented, 4429 as presented, 4431 as presented, 4503 as presented, 4610 as presented, 4620 as presented, the change there, yeah.
There's a motion on the floor to approve those departments as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mikel. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Mr.
Mr.
Fitzpatrick.
Chairman, under account 4710, we have a change. Under account 42219919, self-insurance contribution will now read 11,557,207. And the subtotal will change to 23,447,020. And the department total will change to 23,470,220.
Thank you, Mr. Fitzpatrick. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Castagnoli. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
I'm sorry, Peter, what was the total difference in terms of,
The total reduction there was $64,279.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend that we accept account 4720 as presented, 4740 as presented, 4790 as presented, 4799 as presented, 4801 as presented, 4803 as presented, 4805 as presented, 4807 as presented, 4811 as presented, 4812 as presented, 4813 as presented, 4815 as presented, 4816 as presented, 4817 as presented, 4818 as,
Therefore, you can do 4118.
I'm sorry?
You can do that. I'm going to recuse on 4819.
Oh, okay. To 418 as presented.
That's the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mikel. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
None.
Motion carries unanimously. I'm going to recuse myself on Milford Progress because I'm a member of the board.
Move to approve Milford Progress budget of $10,000 as presented.
Second.
Seconded by Mikel or Lauren?
Me.
Mikel, okay. Any discussion on it? None. All approved?
Yeah, aye.
Aye.
Against? The motion carried.
Thank you, Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Okay, account 4820 as presented, 4821 as presented, 4822 as presented, 4825 as presented, 4826 as presented, 4827 as presented, 4992 as presented, 4828 as presented, 4993 as presented, 4994 as presented, 4995 as presented.
We'll stop there.
That's not right.
There's a motion on the floor to approve those departments as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Gandhi. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, I'll just take 4996 has been previously approved,
Yes.
the education operations. On account 4997, we have a change. The contribution self-insurance fund is now changed to 19,017,168, and the total changes to 19,017,168. That's
Is
it
there,
for that.
there's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Castagnoli. Any discussion on the motion? Thank you. If there's no discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend that we approve account number 4998 as presented.
That's the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Town. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
We had no changes in the sewer fund, can we just read?
I think we're gonna start, these funds always confuse me. Do we start with with 4154, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yes.
move on.
Sewer fund expenditures starting with 4154.
I recommend we, account number 4154 sewer commission, that's the total of the expenditures, is it not?
Do we have changes in wastewater?
No.
No, okay. so wastewater.
Okay, yeah, 4426 as presented. 4426, that's it. Oh, 4790. Benefit salary reserves, we don't have any money in that area?
Because
Oh,
the
we
public
used it.
works contract has settled already.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
We have recommended zero.
Zero, I recommend to 04790. And 4799 as zero.
Okay, that's the motion.
Second.
Second by Mr. Castagnoli. Any discussion on the motion?
Oh, we picked up the revenue side of the other enterprise fund, not the enterprise,
I don't think we have, do we have to adopt the revenue sign on that?
Yes, the
Okay,
next,
we'll go back
yeah,
on the
next
next.
We do?
sewer fund revenue is next.
Yeah, okay, so,
After Hunt.
yeah, so this is a motion to approve sewer fund revenue, sewer fund expenditures as presented for those departments. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, oh, you did second.
Yeah, I
Sorry.
did, yeah.
Second by Mr.
Yeah.
Castagnoli. Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, now we have
I think we
447.
have to go back to page 97,
Right,
right?
that's the
Yeah,
fund,
page
yeah.
97.
Page 97.
Okay, to the revenue, okay. Mr. Chairman, I recommend an account 0012 sewer fund revenues of 8,333,852.
Second.
That's the motion made by Mr. Fitzpatrick, seconded by Mr. Castagnoli. Is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Do we need to do the expenditures?
You need to do marina expenditures first.
No, but we don't need to do sewer fund expenditures. so.
We did that.
We did that
We
already.
did it as.
Yes, we did that.
I was just looking for that total somewhere, I can't find it other than.
The total is only on page 97.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right, thank you, Mr. Peter.
Okay, page 107 now will be the revenue supplement,
Expenditures,
expenditures,
yeah.
do the adjustments afterwards. on that.
We'll start on
Okay, page
one.
108.
Yes.
108.
Marina,
107.
I've got to come back into that, I think.
yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
those are the
Yeah,
future.
double back.
Okay, under account 4157, Marine Enterprise Revenue, we have a change in that area. Under Marina Fees, account 3208, figure now reads 133,112. The subtotal is changed to 273,612. And the grand total under 4157 revenue will be now 293,612.
So that's the motion, is there a second?
Second.
That's yours, that's.
Seconded by Raquel, any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
That's,
Motion carries unanimously. Mr.
those are the
Rosati,
same, right?
when you're ready.
Those you didn't get before, did you? No, those are twos. Okay. All right, under page 109, 4157. This will be the expenses. We have a change under general charges, 4823. Wait a minute, where am I going?
That's right, it's 109, it's 110.
110, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Say that too loud. Okay, under the expenses, operational expenses, account 4823, general auto liability is changed to 43129. Fire and inland, 4824 is changed to 6884. The subtotal is changed to 53052. And the total is changed to 293,612.
So motion, Mr. Fitzpatrick, thank you. Your second?
Second.
Seconded by Lauren. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Okay, we
Aye.
have to go to,
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
we have to go to page 107 for the revenue. The permit fees, I don't think I read that out. did I?
Oh, do we need to do
We
this?
need to do the golf course next.
Yeah, because this one is a little set up a little different.
Yeah.
We did the revenue.
We did the revenue, okay, right.
Page 112.
112, account 4121, golf course. Chairman, I recommend that we accept the account as presented under the golf course revenues of 84,488. And under the expenditures, I recommend we accept the total budget of 84,488 of expenses. And that is the total of that enterprise fund.
Thank you, Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Costello. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries unanimously. Okay. Peter, where should we start?
We
Page
should start
4?
with page 4, and then we will exclude current taxes until the end, when the number is calculated.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll have to go for page 4, we have adjustments under general fund revenue, under the education's cost sharing. The figure will now read $10,849,101, which is a reduction from $11,231,850. And the subtotal will now be $10,934,335.
Might as well go to page 5.
Let's see, we're gonna go to, yeah, this one. To page 5. Under pilot grants. We have a figure of 377,139 as a change.
State Realty Pequot.
David Bailey Pequot, right?
Yep.
The subtotal is now 1,482,426 under pilot grants. Under general purpose state grants, property tax relief, municipal revenue sharing, we now read 1,105,610 for a subtotal of 1,200,610. Changes 6. No changes on page 6. Page 7, we have no changes. On the page 8, total revenue, wait a minute.
We will pause, Mr. Chairman, for total revenue. I just need a few minutes to calculate the mill rate and the current taxes, and then we can approve the final revenue budget number.
Is that, Peter, but under general fund revenue, we have a total,
Yeah, that thing's just a placeholder, I think that's just a placeholder. That's not the right.
Oh, the number.
207, yeah.
Yeah, that's just that's a preliminary number, it's not final.
oh, I got you, all right, very good.
All right, we'll take a brief, oh, well, we haven't, I don't think we finalized the motion, have we?
No,
The revenues, we can't finalize till I give you the
Yeah,
taxes.
so-
And then we will have the official motion to.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So-
Right.
Sorry.
No, that's okay, I was, it's a little bit on and off, but, so we made the changes, motion to approve those changes, and then,
Well, if you go back to 4.
All right.
why don't we finish that, we just finish that motion?
Yeah, you should
And
finish
then,
the
that's
changes.
why this is only
Yes.
31, and it's gonna go up to, you know.
So there's a motion on the floor to accept those technical changes. Well, I'll look for a second on that, and then we'll vote on the final revenue one.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Castiglione. Any discussion on that motion on the technical changes as presented by Mr. Fitzpatrick? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries unanimously. We'll take a 5-minute recess or
Yeah,
so, 5 or 10 minutes.
5 or 10 minutes.
Until, to allow.
I like a little bit faster.
Of current taxes.
So basically, we left all the revenue in there from the state and everything.
Well, it's, our budget, the council, $1 million from the stimulus to give us last year.
So you're saying there's a lot of new businesses on Post
So
Road?
a lot of new business on the post road, there's a lot of.
Okay, it's now 7:18.
New
We'll
commercial and industrial.
call the meeting back,
Construction.
call the meeting back to order. Thank you all for your patience, and I'll turn the floor over to our finance director.
Mr. Chairman, the current year taxes number is calculated to be $176,431,458. That's 176,431,458. For a total budget for revenues of $207,938,246. That's 207,938,246. And I'll give you a chance now to formally adopt the revenue budget.
Thank you, Peter.
Hey, Peter,
Yeah.
do you know what mill rate that comes out to be?
Yes, the mill rate will be, the mill rate as recommended by the Board of Finance will be 27.73. It is a reduction of 0.11 mils. The mill rate last year was 27.84. This is 27.73.
Essentially a flat budget.
0.11.
0.11.
0.11 reduction.
Reduction.
Right, yeah.
Percentage-wise, it's a 0.4% decrease. in the
Okay.
mill rate.
Or 0.06. .04? Point 00?
Point-
In the, oh, .0,
.4.
Point
0.4.
0.4.
0.14.
So basically flat.
Basically flat. It's a small decrease, but basically all in all, flat.
Basically flat, but
But
our city departments, Peter and our Board of Ed, and I will be doing a lot of work between now and when the Board of Aldermen adopt the budget, to give alternatives that will have the least impact on our services, knowing that we're gonna have some adjustments by the state. So it will be a different budget when we adopt it in the end of May or possibly early June, depending.
yes.
Yeah.
Mhm. Dean gets that to that. Brian has to do that.
Yes. Now you can do it, but I think I just need to
Okay.
get my notes right so I can write my.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend that we approve the general revenue, fund revenue of 200.
Nope, I'm
Whoop, what do you
I
want?
think you have to.
Oh, change these, yes, yeah. I recommend that the current taxes will change to $176,431,458.
The revised subtotal, Mr. Chairman, is $177,566,458.
Can I have that again, please?
177,566,458 subtotal.
Subtotal, okay, on page
I'm sorry, I'm gonna
4.
have you repeat that again, so that, okay, I lost my spot there. I'm
Page
sorry.
4.
Page
the
4, this,
bottom.
Page 4, subtotal
Subtotal.
for taxes, 177,566,458 is the revised subtotal.
I'm sorry, Peter, I'm lost.
I'm sorry, page 4,
Yeah?
the subtotal for taxes, the subtotal.
Right, there's a subtotal at the top, Brian.
Oh, I see, I'm looking at, I see, because I've got I was missing some other prior year audit, thank you. But so I'm gonna have you repeat it one more time, now that I found my place.
177,566,458.
Thank you.
And then total then, right? So general fund revenue on page 8 will be $207,938,246. The mill rate, right?
Well, why don't we,
Just to make the approval on that,
Yeah.
please.
Second.
seconded by Mr. Costagnoli, so the motion was, is presented by Mr. Fitzpatrick. Is there any discussion on that motion? Well, I would just like to thank the mayor and finance director and frankly, well, it's discussion.
Oh,
Discussion. I'm discussing. So I just a comment on the general taxes and the revenue. I think the mayor and the department said have done a fine job in keeping the budget within these parameters. So that's all.
And Mr. Chairman, through you to the rest of the board, I do appreciate all the good work that this board puts in, the time and the hours, making sure that all of the budget line items are carefully scrutinized and making sure that we adjust where appropriate. And I know that you've put in a lot of time and asked a lot of good questions and really did set the stage so that this budget will hopefully be the best we can ask for at the end of the day. And I know that the residents of Milford appreciate all the volunteer hours that you put in and the thoughtfulness that you come to this budget deliberation with. And I know that the department heads that you speak to, you make them sit up and take notice and, really adjust operations, day-to-day operations with some of the questions that you ask. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So there's a motion on the floor and seconded. All those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Do we have to adopt the mill rate? Or no?
No.
We don't.
You want to just on record?
So that, Mr. Fitzpatrick, the mill rate would
The
translate
mill rate
to?
will now be 27.73, which is a reduction of 0.11, a percentage increase of 0.4.
Thank you, Mr. Fitzpatrick. Does any other members of the board have any comments, questions, or anything they'd like to say before we adjourn? And as the mayor said, I thank everybody for their hard work this budget season. It can be a lot of effort to get through it, but appreciate it.
Thank you for your leadership,
Thank
Brian.
you, Mr.
I saw
Fitzpatrick.
that too.
Thank you both for everything. If there's nothing further, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded by Mikal. No discussion, motion carries unanimously. Thank you all.
Thanks.
So you're gonna, when it goes to the Board of Health.
You have plenty of big changes.
Different scenarios in
This
case.
should be.
I think I've been on the board for